Welcome back to the channel, guys, and I hope you guys are doing pretty good. Now, this is the day 3 of our 90 days SDET interview preparation series, and I hope you guys have studied day 1 and day 2 properly. Now, in today's class, we will be majorly focusing on two topics: encapsulation and static keyword. Now, some of you guys are very disappointed with this particular topic, thinking that Jatin, it is such a basic thing. Everyone knows what is an encapsulation. Binding of variables and methods together, that's what you call as encapsulation. Static variable means what? Variables which are going to be accessible with the help of class. You call them a static variable. I know that you guys know these things. But for me, it's really important that you are aware of all the interview questions that can come from these two topics. Now, in today's time, guys, where you have these AI things all around us, you have your chat GPT, you have your Claude, you have your Cursor, GitHub Copilot and all. If your fundamentals are weak, it's not a good thing. All right. And if you feel that I'm going to use Claude code or I'm going to use Cursor or GitHub Copilot and it's going to generate the code and I'm going to just use it in my framework and everything is going to work fine, everything is going to be rainbows and sunshine, it's not going to be that. If your entire career is going to be just on copy paste, you are the first one who is going to get replaced. So please make sure, all right, the time for mediocrity is over. All right. When you are writing the code or when you're using these agents, you should own the code. All right. A lot of time people say that, Jatin, if AI is going to write the code, then what is the whole point of doing all these things? Someone has to take the ownership, right? AI can't take the ownership. AI can still write the boilerplate and it can still give you some decent code. But at the end of the day, you will be the one who will be owning that code. If you really can't understand what is the code which is written by AI and we're just doing a copy paste, if something goes wrong, then guys, it's not a good thing for you. So please make sure, guys, you have a solid foundation of your programming language. You are aware of all the concepts. Are you getting the point? Never build your career on a tool. Always build your career on a technology. This is the most important thing that you should always remember. All right. Couple of years back, you were having Selenium WebDriver, right? Now, every video that I release, everyone is just talking about Playwright. Jatin, release a new lecture on Playwright, create a new video on Playwright, right? The whole thing is, tools will always keep on coming and going, and something or the other will always happen. But at the end of the day, fundamentals don't really change. I hope this particular part is clear to everyone. Perfect. Now, I hope you guys are ready with your notebook because we're going to start with this particular session. Before we start, if you guys have your phone next to you, please put it off in the flight mode or turn it off. For the next 1.5 hours, it's only going to be you and me, and we will be only focusing on two topics: encapsulation and static keyword. Perfect. Are you guys ready? All right. Let's get started. Now, let me ask you a question. Suppose I'm taking your interview, all right? And I ask you, what is encapsulation? What are you guys going to say? You're going to say mostly like, Jatin, encapsulation is binding of variables and methods together. Let me write it down over here for you guys. So when we are talking about encapsulation is what? Binding of variables and methods together. That's what an encapsulation is. Perfect. But which variable are we talking over here? Which variable are we talking over here? We're talking about instance variable. All right. In any class, all right, you create a person class, you create an account class, you create a browser utility class, you create your test class, any class. The most important variable of that class are basically your instance variable. What are instance variables? My next question to you guys. What are instance variable? Take a moment, think about it. Write it down in your notebook. All right? Quickly write it down in your notebook. What are instance variable? Variables which are created inside the class and are going to be non-static are called as instance variable. We have studied the topic of constructor, right? The job of the constructor is to initialize the instance variable. Perfect. Now, which methods are we talking over here? All right? Which methods are we talking over here? We are talking about getters and setters. So encapsulation is basically an object-oriented programming feature. Feature that we have, which is called as encapsulation. And encapsulation basically means the binding of variables and methods. Here we are talking about instance variable. And the methods are going to be getters and setters. Perfect. Now, what is the advantage of encapsulation? Yes. What is the advantage of encapsulation? The advantage of encapsulation is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It is the illegal. Okay, it avoids illegal assignment to instance variable. Is this part clear to everyone? Perfect. All right. Now, when I say it avoids illegal assignment to instance variable, this particular point generally goes as a bouncer to most of the folks, because how it is doing that? Perfect. So let's try to understand encapsulation via a code. So I want you guys to just observe, don't write code. All right. I will be doing the heavy lifting over here, but all I want from you guys is your complete attention. So let this delete this particular drawing and let me create a new package. And I'm going to call this particular package as com.day3. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new class. What should I call this particular class? Let's call this particular class an account class. Let me just zoom in. Now, when I'm talking about account, all right, what I want is, I'm talking about the bank account, all right? So you have a lot of things, like if you have seen your passbook or if you have just logged in into your bank app, you see a lot of information. You see your name, you see your address, you see your IFSC code, and the most important thing, you see the balance which is there in your account, right? I'm going to keep this particular class very simple. This particular class is going to hold two important information. The first one is going to be the name of the person. So over here, I'm a person, you are a person, we both are real world entities. Anything that exists in reality is an object. You are an object, I am an object, this laptop is an object, this mic is an object, this pen is an object, because they exist in reality. They are occupying a memory space. This chair, all right, I'm sitting on this chair, I'm occupying some space in this room, right? So objects occupy space in the memory, all right? But the thing over here now is, whenever you're talking about a class, all right, classes are basically rules. Classes are basically some rules. And these rules are basically imposed on an object. Right? Are you getting the point? Now, if I'm going to have an account, I am going to have some properties. The properties will be, first, name. Perfect? And we all know that name is going to be generally string. The most important one, the second one, which we all really work for, is basically the balance in our. So, variables which are created inside the class and are non-static. Here you see, I am not putting the static keyword. So variables which are created inside the class and is going to be non-static, we call them as instance variable. Tell me something. Instance variable are created inside which memory space? They are created in the heap memory. All right. So right now, if there is going to be an account object, all right, it is going to have name as well as it is going to have balance. All right. Name is string. So what will be the value of name? What will be the value of name? The default value of name right now is going to be null. Default value of name is going to be null. And what will be balance? Balance is double. It is going to be 0. All right. Is this part clear to everyone? So instance variable are created whenever you're creating an object. So over here, guys, if I'm going to right click and let's say I'm going to create a new class over here, let's call this as runner class. Runner classes are basically the classes which is going to have main method. And over here, I try to create an object, all right, of account class. So let's say this is going to be account A1 equal to new account. Now, over here, this is going to be the default constructor, right? Which is getting called because we don't have a constructor, right? So, over here, what is going to happen? This is my object. Whenever you are creating an object, 3 things are going to happen. What are the 3 things? Class is loaded into the memory. Instance variable are created. And third one is constructor is called. All right, hold on. We'll go slowly. Don't worry. Class is loaded into the memory. Instance variable is created. Constructor is called. All right. Now over here in our account class, we don't have any constructor. So since we don't have the constructor, Java will create one, all right, and that is going to be default constructor. A default constructor looks like exactly the same. It's like an account method which takes no parameter and there is no code over here. All right, no code. It's going to do nothing, literally nothing. Dummy method. Okay, now the thing is, if you notice now, these variables are what? Non-private. Okay? They are non-private. Now, over here, since these variables are non-private, I can access them outside the class. See, if there is going to be some information which is going to be private, all right, I don't want to expose it to the public, right? So it will not be accessible to public. But if there are some informations which are non-private, it can be accessed outside, right? People know my name. Some people know my mobile number, right? These are generally the public information. But then there are some private information also, which I am not telling to other people. Same thing happens with you. You also have some private information. All right. You're not exposing that information in the public domain. Perfect. So since we are having this as non-private, generally, let's assume we'll say this is going to be public. Okay. For simplicity, my variables both are public. I can access them outside the class. I can say A1 dot. You see balance and name is popping up. I'm going to say name equal to Jatin. All right. And I'm going to say A1 dot balance equal to, it's a double, right? Let's say 1000. All right. Now, what I want is I want a one line definition, a one line statement for the state of the instance variable. How do you do that? In constructor, I've taught you now. The toString method pops up. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, go to source, generate a toString method. So this toString method is going to give me a one line description of the state of the object. So when I'm talking about state now, we are talking about the values of the instance variable. Here you see it is going to print the values for name and balance. Now, let's delete this. Let's go back over here. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say sysout A1. Let's say this particular chap. Let's click on the play button. Click on OK. Let's bring this guy up. What do you see? Name is Jatin and balance is 1000. All right. Life is good till here. Life is literally good till here because I wanted to set the account name as Jatin and the balance is 1000. Works pretty fine. Let's say there is another person who goes to the bank and say that, hey, I want to create an account. All right. So let's say we are creating another account. So again, we are supposed to create a account object. Let's say this is going to be A2 and the name over here can be Katrina. All right. And let's say her balance is technically 5000. So here we will say A2.name because this object belongs to Katrina. And this is going to be A2.balance, which is going to talk about Katrina's balance. Perfect. So here I will be printing A2. Click on the play button. Over here, this is the output that Jatin's balance is 1000 and Katrina's balance is 5000. Now, a lot of time when I'm teaching students now, you often tell me, Jatin, I don't know how exactly this execution happened. You know, like you are saying account A1 equal to new account, A1 dot name, A1 dot balance and all. What is all this thing? You know, like how exactly this program is really getting executed. So let's try to understand that. All right. Over here, guys. Whenever Java wants to execute your program, the execution is going to happen from which method? Main method, right? Because the first method which Java executes is always the main method. Entry point to your program. Methods are going to be executed inside which memory? Methods are executed inside which memory? Methods are executed in your stack memory. Stack is a data structure, right? What is the operation of stack? That is basically LIFO process. Last in, first out. Perfect. Now, over here, we have a stack. Okay? Now, understand this part carefully. Java says that I am going to execute the main method. Meaning, Java is going to go inside this particular method. So if Java is going to go inside the method, Java is going to execute the method. Execution of the methods always happen in stack. So this main method goes inside the stack. Now, a very important thing. Variables which are created inside the methods. This is the method block, na? Variable which is created inside the method. They're called as local variable. Perfect. Local variables are created inside the stack. Instance variable created inside the heap memory. Variables created inside the class and is going to be non-static. They are instance variable. Instance variable will be created in the heap memory. Clear? Now, you see this particular statement. All right. Let's assume you are Java. Account A1 equal to new account. So what are you going to execute first? Are you going to execute the LHS or the RHS? So whatever is left of the equal to, we have studied it in the school, that whatever is on the left of the equal to sign, that is the LHS. Whatever is on the right hand side is basically the RHS. So tell me something. What will be executed first? The RHS. Always the RHS is going to be executed first. So new account. Java is going to focus on this particular chap. My bad. You guys are going to focus on this particular chap. New account. You see the new keyword. What is new keyword? New keyword always talks about heap memory. New keyword always talks about the heap memory. So over here, heap memory comes. Let's create a egg. All right. This is basically the heap memory. And over here, new account. What is new account? An object. Whenever you're creating an object, three things are going to happen. What are the three things? Class is loaded into the memory. Instance variable are created. Account class have how many instance variable? 2 instance variable. Name and balance. Name and balance is created where? Inside the heap memory. Next thing, which is very important, guys, which is very important, that since name and balance, they are created in the heap memory, they will be initialized with the default value. Name data type is string, balance data type is double. So string's default value is null. Double default value is 0. So class is loaded into the memory. Instance variable is created. Constructor is called. Constructor is a method, na? So dummy method will be called. In the stack, it is going to do nothing. Okay, it is going to get removed also from the stack, and the focus is going to be back on the main method. Then this chap, okay, this particular stuff is done. Account A1. This what you see is basically called as the declaration. Account A1. Account A1. That is declaration. So over here, declaration is happening inside the method. So a local variable called A1 will be created. A1 which you see is basically what you call as a reference variable. It refers to the object which is created in the heap memory. Alright. So whatever is basically, let's say, the address, the same stuff will be kept over here. For your simplicity, I'm saying this particular stuff. So it is not storing the object. It is referring to the object. Now, what do you mean by storing the object and reference? You know, like sometimes when you're looking for a job, you always say, can you refer me to your company? That's the word you use, na? Can you refer me in your company? That's what we say. So what do you mean by reference? I don't know anyone in that company. I don't know the HR. All right. But I know you. You work over there. You know the HR of that particular company. All right. So you become my reference point. Are you getting the point over here? So I don't know about this particular object, but A1 knows where this particular object is. So whenever I want to interact with the instance variable or with some instance method, I need to use the reference. So I'm going to say A1.name. A1 is going to take me to that particular object, and then I will be able to manipulate, read the values of the instance variable. Are you getting the point? So when I say A1.name, all right, A1 is 777. It is going to take me to this particular instance variable, name. Perfect. Over here, it was storing null. I will be updating this chap with Jatin. Then I'm going to say A1.balance. A1 is 777. It is going to take me to this particular object. A balance is 0. But hey, I want to update it with 1000. Done and dusted. So when I'm doing system.out.println A1, and because we have the toString method, which is there now in our account class, we are getting this particular output. That name is Jatin and balance is 1000. Are you with me? Yes or no? Perfect. Let's do it one more time. And this time I'm going to go very, very slowly. Account A2 equal to new account. You guys tell me. Line number 12. Account A2 equal to new account. What should I focus first? On the LHS or on the RHS? LHS or RHS? RHS. New account. Arey, this is an object. Whenever you are creating an object, three things are going to happen. Class is loaded into the memory. Class loading happens only once. For the very first time. Okay, it is not going to happen again. Second thing, instance variable is created. So a new object will be created for you. Instance variable will be created. And third thing, constructor will be called. But we have a dummy constructor, a default constructor. It's not going to do anything. So it comes and goes. That's it. Then we will be focusing on the LHS, account A2. Account A2 is what? Declaration. Declaration is happening where? Inside the method. So over here, A2 will be created. But A2, will it point to 777? No, it is going to point to this particular object. Let's say 999. So whenever I'm going to say A2.name, will it go to Jatin's object or it's going to go to this particular object? It's going to go to this object now. So A2.name, where null was written, it is going to be updated with Katrina. Where A2.balance, this A2 is going to take me to this particular object. Where balance is 0, it is going to be updated with 5000. Are you getting the point? That's how your objects work. So Jatin is one entity. All right. I exist in memory. All right. Katrina, okay, also exists somewhere. All right. Pretty sure in my dreams. But the thing over here is the most important part is she exists and she has her own space. Okay. She has her own data. All right. And this is where her information and her state of the data will be kept and stored in the heap memory. Are you getting the point? This is what you call as fundamentals. All right. Now, in interview preparations and all, it's very difficult to really keep on going into these small nitty-gritties. But I've just dabbled upon a very small topic like this. All right. But you should be really aware of all these things. Okay. Now, life is good till the time you are giving proper values. Let's say account balance can be 1000. Okay, account balance can be 5000. This is completely fine. But tell me something. Can double store a negative value? Yes or no? Can double store a negative value? Let's see. If I just make it minus 1000. Is it allowed? Let's see. Let's click on the play button. So what? Imagine you get up in the morning, you decided to check your balance. Okay? And you see that instead of having a positive balance, you are having a negative balance. Okay? Pretty sure you're going to get a mini heart attack. Right? That instead of at least being on 0 also, it went on the negative value. Okay? So this is a problem with the system. That my balance variable, which is a very important variable for all my objects, because it is storing the money and that stuff itself is storing a wrong data. We need to solve this particular problem. So over here, this chap is an illegal assignment. Are you getting the point? This is the illegal assignment. So how do we overcome this particular chunk? Encapsulation. The first rule of encapsulation is that your variables, which variables? Instance variable, are going to be private. The moment I make them private, my runner class is giving me error. Baba, the names are private. These variables are private. You can't really access them outside gutters. Then, how do I access it? You are supposed to create special methods. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to right click over here, go to source, and you're going to see the option called generate getters and setters. You see automatically it is showing me the instance variable, balance and name. I'm just going to select all and click on generate. So I got two methods, two special methods. One is basically called get name, that hey, get me the value of the name. And the second one is set name, that hey, I'm going to give you some value and you are going to set this thing. We saw this keyword also now. What is this keyword? This keyword is used to differentiate dash and dash. This keyword is used to differentiate local variables with instance variable when they have same name. So whenever I'm going to say this dot name, it is going to refer to name. When I'm going to say name, it is only going to refer to your local variable. Parameters are always local variable. Local variables are always going to be created inside the stack memory. Are you with me? Are you with me? Yes or no? So this is what it is. All right. This is what foundation is, guys. This is something that you should be really good at. Anyways, now I got the get name and the set name. Let's delete this chunk. Now these methods now are public. Variables are private. So I can go back and I can say, hey. I can't write a1 dot name now, but I can write a1 dot set name and I can give Jatin over here. All right. And then I can say a1 dot set balance. That was minus 1000. Now we'll put minus 1000. Okay. Let's say this chap. I'm going to copy this chap, put it over here. All right. This is going to be Katrina. And over here, this is going to be set balance. Whose balance was 5000. Save it. Click on the play button. Works the same way. What do you feel like, Jatin? What is this? The balance is still negative. But you know, something has changed. Previously, we were directly manipulating the variable. But now, I am giving the data to a method. And what do you do inside a method? You can write code. So I have this block now. Now I can say something like this. If balance is going to be less than 0, all right, then this is going to be less than 0. System.out.println. Okay. Amount cannot be negative. All right. Else. It's going to do the show. So, if the value which I'm giving is going to be less than 0, it is going to print this particular message that amount, whatever you're giving, cannot be negative. Else, what it is going to do, it is going to update the bounds. So if I'm going to click on the play button, you will see that what has happened. Amount cannot be negative. This is for Jatin's object. All right. And then we are doing a print now that I'm printing the one-line description of A1 object reference. So name got set properly. Balance is 0.0. Now you'll be like, Jatin, why balance is 0.0? What is the default value of double? 0, right? So whenever an instance variable has the default value, whenever the instance variable technically gets the default value, we say that something went wrong. Something went wrong. Okay, that balance was not updated. So these default value gives us the hint that over here, name is getting set properly to Jatin, balance is not getting set properly, meaning the value which you were giving was wrong. I hope this particular part is clear to everyone. This is what encapsulation is. All right. Now, I hope you have understood this particular code. I took a very simple example. The whole point over here now, guys, is for me, it's important that you do revision two ways. One, you understand the concept. And the second thing is you look through the code. Okay, that how and why it is working in a certain way. If I was not gonna make this particular variable private, if it was public, illegal assignment was happening. But the moment I made them as private and we introduce the getter and setter, what is happening is because of these methods, I can introduce validation logic. Here you will notice that there's a validation logic that I'm checking what value you are passing. So over here, I'm passing -1000. So this -1000 will be checked. That is it less than 0? It is less than 0. Then print the message, amount cannot be negative. If the balance, whatever that you're giving, is technically greater than 0 or equal to 0, then what it is going to do, it is going to update our instance variable. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. Perfect. Now the next thing over here, guys, we need to discuss about static keyword. Okay. Tell me something. When we are talking about static keyword is applicable at 5 places. What are those 5 places? So when we are talking about static keyword can be applied to variable. Perfect. Next, static keyword can be applied to your methods. You can apply static keyword to block. Next, you can apply static keyword to imports. Static imports, which is used a lot in REST assured. All right. And then you can have one more thing, which is very important, called static class. Dash classes in Java are basically static. Which classes in Java are static? Your inner classes. All right. In Java are going to be static class. Please make a note of all these 5 points. So when we are talking about static basically always refer to memory. All right. And that we have a static memory popping up over here. And this particular keyword, guys, is applicable at 5 things: static variable, static method, static block, import, as well as class. When we say static variable, it only means that you will be having one memory allocated. So when I'm going to create a static variable, static variables are only created once. And inside which memory space static variables are created? Inside E. Inside a special area which is called as meta area. Just make a note of this particular stuff. Meta area. Remember, when you're creating an object, what is the first thing that happens? Class is loaded into the memory. No? The class is loaded into the meta area. When the class is loaded for the very first time, all the static variables, your static block, all those chaps gets executed. Makes sense? Perfect. So static keyword, when we're talking about variables, it means only one memory allocation. All right. And when you are going to have instance variable, instance variable means as many times I'm going to create an instance, those variables will be created. But when you're going to have a static variable means they will be created only once. But they can be accessed across all the objects of the same class. So over here, if I want to share a data, across all the objects of account class, then guys, that particular data needs to be a static one. Are you getting the point? For example, let me just explain you over here. If I go back to account, let's say we are going to have one more variable, and I'm going to call this particular variable as string bank name. And I'm going to say bank name as HDFC. Okay. Now, tell me something. Is this an instance variable? Is this an instance variable? You will say, yes, Jatin, this is an instance variable. So, as many times we are creating of the object, this is Jatin's object, and we're going to have Katrina's object. So, what is going to happen, guys? That 3 instance variable will be created now. One is going to be the name, one is going to be the balance, and one over here is going to be bank name. Again, one is going to be the name, one is going to be the balance, and one is going to be the bank name. Now we know that, let's say the name over here is Jatin. Balance over here is 0.0. Here the name is Katrina. Balance is 5,000. Bank name, we have hard coded it. It is going to be HDFC. Here also HDFC. So, let's say whether you're creating 2 objects or whether you're creating 2,000 objects or whether you're creating 20,000 objects. All those objects technically is going to have a bank name. Alright. And bank name is going to store one value itself, HDFC. Now you will be saying that, Arey Jatin, why are you creating these unnecessary duplicate variables? Because they are storing only one information, na? They are storing only one information. Can't we store it at one place and let we access it in other objects? Can we do that? Yes. That's where we use the static keyword. Alright. You just make it static. And you will see the moment I made it static, it is looking like a little bit italic and all. That's what you mean over here. Are you getting the point? Now, guys, there is a relation, and this is something that you should remember. See, bank name is having the value HDFC, right? So, this particular value is not going to change. Perfect. Because how often a company changes its name? It's not that often. No? So, over here, if the value remains constant, we have this thing that we will be writing it in uppercase. First thing, if the value is not changing, then the name of the variable needs to be written in uppercase, and it is going to introduce a keyword called final. Is this part clear to everyone? Perfect. So, here's the most important thing now, that if the value is constant, variable name needs to be written in uppercase, and you're going to attach final. Static did not came, okay, because it is a constant. We created static because we wanted to share this particular variable everywhere. All right. So, if the value is constant, write the variable in uppercase and introduce final. Now, there is a relation between final and static also that you should be aware of. That if a variable is final, if a variable is becoming final, meaning if the variable is basically a constant, all right, 100% you will mark it with what? Static. So if a variable is final, 100% it is going to become static. But vice versa is not true. If a variable is static, it may or may not be final. Are you getting the point? All right. Now, as we were discussing that when we are having static keyword is applicable at 5 places. You are going to have static variables, which we just saw. We can have static methods. We can have static block. You can have static import. And you can have static inner classes. All right. So, over here, guys, remember one thing. Let's say I go back to the runner class. Okay. Step by step, we'll see that. I want to see the name of the bank. That's something that I want to see. So over here, right now, this particular variable is private. I can make it public. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say system.out.println account dot binding. So for accessing the static variable, I don't need to create an object. I can literally comment all these things, Control-Shift-C, click on the play button, bring this guy up, and you will see the name of the company is getting printed. Okay. Now, this is where static import comes into picture. See, if you don't want to write account.bank name and you just want to write probably bank name. So what you can do is you can do static import. So static, probably it's like going to be like import static. Oopsie, it's not popping up for me. No problem. com.day3.account. All right. And I can just apply the static keyword now. What is this? Dot. It's not popping up. Let's crack this. Put it off over here. Yeah, now it's popping up. Import static com.day3 account.bank name. The moment I do this now, I don't need to write account anymore. I can just write bank name. Are you getting the point? So with the help of static import, you don't need to use the class name to access static variables and static methods. Getting the point? Now, why would you do that? To improve the readability of the code. All right. Instead of writing account.bank name and all those stuff, just write bank name. So when you're doing static import, okay, this particular chap basically helps in the readability, okay, of your code. Next thing, which is again very important, is static block. Okay. What are these? What are these? Name and balance. They are instance variable. Instance variable needs to be initialized where? Yeah. Where should I initialize the instance variable? Or whose job is to initialize the instance variable? You will say that if I want to initialize the instance variable, its job is with the constructor. So the job of the constructor is to initialize the instance variable. I'm going to right click over here, go to source, generate constructor using fields, click on generate, kaboom. So here you will see it is going to initialize this thing. Now, because we are having a parameterized constructor now, all right, you can't write account A1 or probably account A2. This is not going to work. You are supposed to pass the value. So I can say something like this now. Jatin. And I'm going to give a positive number, 1000. And over here, this is going to be Katrina. And 5000. 50,000. 5,000 over here. All right, let's remove this. And let's remove this. Let's click on the play button. Jatin, balance is 1000. Katrina, balance is 5,000. And I'm still able to see the bank name. So over here, guys, the job of the constructor is basically to initialize the instance variable. Now I have a static variable. All right. Probably in future, I want to initialize static variable somewhere, right? So where should I do that? So if the job of the constructor is to initialize the instance variable, static block is generally used to initialize your static variable. Okay. So instead of writing it like this, okay, I can write it over here. Okay. And you will see that even though this particular variable is finite, the initialization is happening inside the static block. So remember, the job of the static block is to initialize the static variable, and the job of the constructor is to initialize the instance variable. All right. Static block will be executed only once during the class loading time. Okay. So it is not going to be executed again and again. It's only going to be executed once. So observe this. I can just write over here this out. Hello from constructor. Okay, copy this. And I can paste this chap over here. And I can say hello from static block. Save this. Let's go to runner. Let's click on the play button. And you will notice that static block is the first thing which is getting executed because class is loading into the memory only one time. And boom, static block got executed. And then hello from constructor is getting printed twice. All right. And over here, your constructors are getting called. Initialization of the instance variable is happening and I'm able to see HDFC Bank. All right. This is what it is. So we saw static variable. We saw static block. We saw static import. And you also have static methods. All right. Static methods are generally meant for utilities. All right. Whenever you're going to have any reusable methods which you want to keep on accessing it in different places, you generally use static methods. Now, just for your reference, I'm going to show you from your framework perspective because that is going to be much more easier for you. So I have this com.utility. No? So I have this browser utility, CSV reader utility and all. Let's open JSON utility, static method. All right, let's go to Lambda test utility, static methods, static variables, all those things popping up. So whenever you are going to have static methods are always going to be utility methods. Are you getting the point? This is something that you should be remembering. And the last part, just remember this particular stuff because I think the lecture is already getting pretty lengthy. You can also have inner classes in Java. And those inner classes in Java are technically going to be your static classes. All right. Now, where you will be using your inner classes in builder design pattern. All right. Technically, in your builder design pattern, you use your static inner classes. All right. So that's it, guys. That's it for this particular class. We have covered a lot of stuff for today. We were focusing majorly on encapsulation, static, as well as the final keyword. These were the things which was popped up in a lot of companies like Adobe, Deloitte, Capgemini, okay, CTS, Pegasus, okay, and Simpler. They have asked the questions on topic of encapsulation, your static keyword, okay, whatever I have discussed over here, all these things they had asked it. And instead of going with a Q&A kind of a stuff, I thought it's going to be better that we do it in understanding the topic itself. Now, the notes of this lecture will be available in the YouTube Tech with Jatin members. If you're not part of it, please join in. It's going to be very useful for you guys. All right. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to mark your attendance. If you have completed till here, watched till here, write it down that this particular lecture is completed. If you have any questions, you can put it in that comment section. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.